To prove that humans and zombies can also have children, I caught a random female zombie who looked relatively clean, because a sudden disaster had struck. Nearly 90% of humanity had turned into zombies. Yet, as fate would have it, I actually activated a girl chasing system, which had absolutely nothing to do with the apocalypse. And at this very moment, a female zombie with a very beautiful appearance suddenly appeared before my eyes. This scene immediately jolted me awake. This love system. It doesn't seem to have any regulations about species, does it? Besides, with a beautiful zombie like this, it would be such a waste of God's gift to just let her go. As soon as this thought flashed through my mind, I immediately pulled a rope out of my bag, waited for the right moment, and threw it with force. It landed accurately on that female zombie. She let out a piercing scream on the spot. But a second later, I stuffed a rag into her mouth, sensing the smell of a fresh human nearby. This zombie immediately went wild. Her small head desperately tried to burrow into me, while I excitedly gripped her hand tightly. At that exact moment, the system notification rang in my head. Congratulations to the host for completing the hand-holding mission. Conquest target: Chin Kingwoo. Identity: female university student. Current status: zombie. Affection level 0. Hand-holding reward: 100 kilograms of fresh meat. First kiss reward: zombie Roman 6 routine vaccine. Complete conquest reward: Gene evolution potion. Seeing these generous rewards, my breathing suddenly became rapid. Just the initial 100 kilograms of meat alone is enough for me to eat and drink comfortably for 2.5 years, not to mention the 2 overpowered treasures behind them. But the most difficult problem right now is how on earth to increase Shin Kingwoo's favorability. After thinking for a while, I reached out and pulled the rag out of Shin Kingwoo's mouth. He immediately snarled at me frantically, its sharp teeth grinding together with a spine-chilling sound. Without a second word, I directly took a piece of raw meat from the system space and stuffed it into its mouth. The roaring sound immediately vanished. Right after that, it began to frantically tear at the piece of meat. Seeing this scene, I sighed helplessly. With this mouth full of fangs, it seems the reward for that first kiss cannot be expected for now. Just then, the door to the next room suddenly opened. A man and a woman stepped out from inside. As soon as the woman opened her mouth, she said, "Hey, handsome. My husband and I haven't eaten anything for 2 days. You have so much food that you're even feeding a zombie. Could you share some with us, please?" The two of them were a newlywed young couple. The husband's name was Shin Lian, and the wife was Lin Wanzi. Normally, these two lived entirely on takeout. There was no food stockpile in their house at all. In my previous life, it was because I believed their sweet talk that I foolishly shared food with them. I even thought they would be grateful to me. As it turned out, they took advantage of me being out looking for supplies to completely ransack my room, and even lock the door from the outside. No matter how much I screamed, they refused to open the door. Toward these kinds of ungrateful wide-eyed wolves, how could I give them food anymore? However, this Lin Wanzi in front of me could be of some use. As soon as this thought occurred, the system interface appeared before Lin Wanzi's name. Status: married woman. Favorability: 4. Hand-holding reward: 100 kilograms of fresh vegetables. First kiss reward: a 120 square meter fully furnished house. Total conquest reward: a 1,000 square meter luxury villa. Seeing these rewards, the corners of my mouth couldn't help but curl up. Although I don't lack food, in this apocalypse, nutritional balance is the top priority. Seeing me smile, those two, but I had already agreed to their request. Chen Lian immediately pushed his luck. First, give us 5 kilograms of pork, and then 3 more cases of purified water. I was almost moved to laughter by the two of them. When did I ever agree to your request? Even if I have so much food that I can't finish it, and have to give it to the dogs, I would absolutely never give it to ungrateful people like you. After saying that, I immediately pushed Shin Kingwoo back to the room. Jin Liang glared at me, gnashing his teeth in rage. He wanted to make a move, but was wary of the zombie beside me. Back in the room, I helped Shin Kingwoo sit upright and casually open the system panel. The result surprised me greatly. Shin Kingwoo's favorability had actually increased by 5 points. I immediately recalled the late stage of the apocalypse in my previous life when evolved zombies developed intelligence. Could it be that Shin Kingwoo can also evolve? And just because of that bit of me, favorability has increased by 5 points. This is even easier than flirting with a normal girl, or so I thought. I took a few more pieces of raw meat to feed her, successfully increasing favorability to 10 points. Originally, I intended to capitalize on the momentum and continue feeding her, but looking at her round little belly, I decided to stop. After stuffing the rag back into Shin Kingwoo's mouth, I started planning my next moves. 1 month after the zombie outbreak, terrifyingly extreme cold weather will strike. I only have more than 20 days to prepare. First, I must solve the supplies issue. Food and drink are the top survival factors. Next are warm clothes and medicine. These things are still easy to manage. But the safe house, the most important thing, I don't have a single clue about. This safe house must not only be sturdy enough, but also be able to maintain a stable temperature in the extreme cold. Trying to find an existing building that meets all these conditions is truly harder than climbing to heaven. As far as I know, there's no such place in all of Tanhai City. But right then, an idea flashed through my mind. I remembered Lin Wanzi's first kiss reward, and hurriedly called the system in my head. System, is the house you reward already existing, or can it appear out of thin air? The system replied, All rewarded houses are built from thin air. The host can designate any construction site. Then what if I have special requirements for the house? For example, building with titanium alloy, having a secret exit, a warehouse, and medical equipment, communication and such. The system went silent for a few seconds and then replied, the host needs to provide the construction drawings. In addition, communication and medical equipment are not on this list. The host needs to handle those themselves. This made me crazy with joy. That means my titanium alloy safe house actually has a chance now. Right at this moment, a sudden knock sounded on the door from outside. Lan Van 2 was standing all alone at the door. Seeing that no one was coming to open the door, her heart was racing. Both ends of the hallway were pitch black. Who knows if some zombie would suddenly rush out, just as she was about to give up. The door finally opened. A look of joy just appeared on Lan Van 2's face. But upon seeing the meat cleaver I was holding in my hand, her heart tightened and she hurriedly explained. Don't misunderstand. I'm not carrying any weapons on me. I narrowed my eyes and looked her up and down once. Lan Van 2 also realized I was scanning her. If it were before, she probably would have slapped me long ago. But now, since she had to ask for a favor, she could only force a smile. I want to ask you for some food. I gave her a look full of contempt. Just lend me some. I won't let you lose out. As long as you lend me some food, then I will. But I didn't believe in that nonsense. Without a word, I tried to close the door. Seeing this, Lan Van 2 quickly blocked the door without budging. What? Aren't you afraid a zombie might suddenly rush out? I asked just as I finished speaking. A zombie's roar echoed from the distance. Lan Van 2's beautiful face turned pale with fear. Immediately, she had to grit her teeth and step into the house. The moment I closed the door, I happened to lock eyes with Tham Luong in the apartment diagonally opposite. Seeing that I had spotted him, he immediately pulled his head back. I gave a cold sneer and slammed the door shut. Truly a natural-born coward. His head shrinking skills are truly top-notch. Van and Go in the room saw Lan Van 2, and immediately became frantic. Lan Van 2 reflexively backed away in fear. She let out a scream and increased the distance. Why are you keeping a zombie in your house? Aren't you afraid? My expression remained nonchalant. What's there to be afraid of? Isn't it just a zombie? These words caused her to unconsciously compare me with Tham Luong, thinking to herself, if her husband had even half of my courage, then she wouldn't have had to come here and endure this grievance. Thinking of this, Lan Van 2 sighed and said, speak up. What on earth do you want me to do before you'll give me food? A few minutes later, she returned to the living room and growled at me in an extremely nasty tone. I've done everything you wanted. There is no food. I slowly pulled open the refrigerator door, deliberately letting her see it was stuffed with fresh meat. At that very moment, a thought flashed through Lan Van 2's mind. Maybe she should just knock me unconscious, but in the end, her reason prevailed. Actually, I was also constantly on guard against her actions. Ultimately, Lan Van 2 didn't make a move, which made me feel a bit regretful. I was just a bit short of having a reason for self-defense. I took out about half a kilo of pork and casually tossed it down in front of her. Her expression was grim as she stared at the meat on the ground. Is this all you're giving me? This is plenty already. Originally, I only intended to give you 250 grams. Lan Van 2. How could she know how precious half a kilo of meat is? In times like these, she only remembers that before Tham Luong married her, the dowry reached 380,000 yuan. Her name was even on the property title. She only remembers that before Tham Luong married her. Lan Van 2 took a deep breath. In the end, she still bent down to pick up the pork from the floor, walking out with a cold expression on her face. Seeing her like that, I wasn't angry but happy. The more upset she was, the stronger my sense of satisfaction from revenge. Next, I gleefully opened the system panel. Reward: a house and vegetables both show a status of pending, though the 100 square meter house is a bit small. I have a solution, just need to find one more person. A woman with a status similar to Lan Van 2, and I can expand on this 100 square meter foundation. The only problem now is the design blueprint for the safe house. Luckily, at Tanhai University, there might be survivors from the architecture department. It looks like I have to head out early the next morning. I started gathering supplies. My primary target was apartment 504 across the hall. I took a wire and poked it into the keyhole, solving it easily in seconds. As soon as I entered the room, I heard the sound of ravenous chewing from the bedroom. I tiptoed and pushed open the bedroom door. I saw an old man with white hair gnawing on a corpse on the bed. How gruesome, I muttered, then swung the meat cleaver toward the zombie. Suddenly its neck turned, lunging at me with bared fangs. Unexpectedly, this slash didn't cause much damage. On the contrary, it completely enraged it. It turned around, baring its fangs and claws as it lunged at me. I delivered a kick to its chest, directly kicking it flying away. Then I rushed up and delivered a few more strikes, until it completely stopped moving. Regaining my composure, I realized the meat cleaver had been chipped in 2 places. After all, it's just a meat cleaver. It's fine for chopping meat, but hacking through zombie bones is a bit too much. It seems it's time to find a more suitable weapon. Nearing noon. Finally, I finished searching all 6 apartments on the 5th floor. Having dealt with a total of 3 zombies, I found a case of malt juice, 7 miscellaneous medicine bottles, and a tub of protein powder. Although the harvest wasn't bad, this sharp cleaver is now completely useless. Luckily, I found a baseball bat. I swung it a couple of times and it felt quite handy. In another development, Lin Wensai and Shen Liang through the door's peephole witnessed the entire process of me killing zombies. In another development, Lin Wensai and Shen Liang through the door's peephole witnessed the entire process of me killing zombies. My frenzied appearance made them both swallow hard. Gulp. They were glad they hadn't been foolish enough to pick a fight earlier. Otherwise, they'd be 6 feet under by now. Only when they heard my door close did the two of them dare to open their door. They carefully searched each room, hoping to find food that I might have missed. Unfortunately, I had searched far too thoroughly. The two of them couldn't find a single scrap. Damn it, is that bastard a reincarnated locust? He didn't leave any food at all. Bam Luo when she cursed, I seem to have found a piece of steak, but it's already covered in mold. Lam Va and Tu grimaced Am Luo when she rolled his eyes. Wife, why don't you go over to his place and ask for more food? Lam Va and Tu's face was full of reluctance. We just ate yesterday. I'm not that hungry right now. How about we just don't go? You're not hungry now, but you will be sooner or later. Are you going to wait until he gives all the food to the zombies before you're willing to go ask? Seeing her hesitation, thought Luo when she acted earnest, he sincerely took her hand. Looking at her husband's pleading eyes, Lam Va and Tu grit her teeth. Fine, I'll go then. As soon as Lam Va and Tu entered, she smelled an aroma that was extremely enticing. At that moment, I walked out of the kitchen. I was carrying a rice cooker. Inside was a pot full of potato and meat stew. I opened a bottle of malt juice. I sat comfortably on the sofa to eat. Lam Va and Tu was so tempted by the aroma that she swallowed hard, but seeing that I said nothing, she could only stand there awkwardly. Only after 2 bites did I act as if I suddenly remembered her. I almost forgot you. As I spoke, I stood up and got a plate. I scooped some meat onto it. Lam Va and Tu thought it was for her. Just as she happily reached out her hand, intending to take it, I walked straight past her. I headed toward Thought M Fan and Go. After I pulled the rag out of Thought M Fan and Go's mouth, she immediately devoured the food. Lam Va and Tu stood on the other side. Her expression was very awkward. She gave a dry cough and changed the subject. Did you clean up the entire 5th floor today? Yeah, I'm getting ready to leave. Before leaving, I need to collect some more supplies. Hearing that, Lam Van Tu's eyes widened. What? You said you're about to leave? It's full of zombies outside. Where could you possibly go? I smiled and didn't answer. What's wrong? Can't bear to let me go? Hearing these words, her face immediately filled with anger. Who says I can't bear to let you go? I just hope you die out there. But even though she said that, there was a hint of worry hidden in her eyes. If I took all the food away, wouldn't she and Tham Luan starve to death? Speak up, why did you come looking for me after all? I want to exchange food with you. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. I had already guessed that Lam Van Tu would return, but I didn't expect her to be so thick-skinned. In a flash, 4 days had passed. I had searched the entire building. In these past few days, Fan Fan and Go's appetite has become increasingly terrifying. From needing only half a kilo of meat to be full at first, to now 2.5 kilos isn't even enough to fill the gaps between her teeth. Yet her stomach didn't seem to bulge at all. If it weren't for the favorability points constantly increasing, I really wouldn't want to feed her anymore, not even caring if she understood or not. I just went ahead and threatened her. I've been feeding you for 6 days now. If you still dare to have bad intentions and bite me, then I'll leave you here to fend for yourself. Having said that, I took the rag out of her mouth. Tham Fan and Go didn't scream like she did at the beginning anymore. On the contrary, she opened her mouth, waiting for me to feed her. If you dare bite me, I won't feed you anymore. Got it? Since you're not speaking, I'll just assume you've tacitly agreed. I tentatively reached out my hand toward Shin Kingwu. As a result, she unceremoniously opened her mouth, intending to bite. I immediately shouted loudly, "No!" She was startled for a moment by my shout, then she tilted her head and looked at me. I carefully reached out my hand again, but Shin Kingwu still opened her mouth to bite as usual. I immediately shouted loudly, "No, no!" Back and forth like that we persisted, more than a dozen times, back and forth for over a dozen times. Just when I was about to give up, finally she stopped biting and just stared intently at my face. It seemed she wanted to use my expression to judge whether this thing could be bitten or not. I was overjoyed. I gently shook my head at her. Shin Kingwu seemed to understand my meaning. Surprisingly, she really didn't bite anymore. Excitedly, I took a piece of meat and handed it over, then I gave her a nod. This time, she ate it immediately. After that, I tried a few more times. She would always wait for me to nod before eating. She would always wait for me to nod before eating, to verify whether Shin Kingwu could only restrain her aggression when she was tied up. I decided to conduct one more experiment. First, I untied the ropes on her body, and I placed a plate of meat on the coffee table. Shin Kingwu stood up unsteadily and walked toward me. She first looked at the meat on the table, then she glanced at me. Next, she raised her hand and pointed at the plate of meat. In my heart, I was overjoyed again. I nodded to her. Only then did Shin Kingwu pick up the meat to eat. Devouring it, I must admit that this manner of eating is still as unsightly as ever. But there is one good thing, which is Shin Kingwu's affection level is only at 40, yet he stopped attacking me already. So if the affection level increases to 100, wouldn't I have an obedient zombie psychic? What kind of love system is this? It is clearly a master-servant nurturing system. At the same time, in the other room, These past few days, Shenliang has been on pins and needles. He already knew the news that I was about to leave. Regardless of whether it was for food or revenge. He didn't want to let me leave this place alive. But relying on himself alone, there was certainly no chance. After all, I'm a formidable character who can easily take on a crowd of zombies alone. So Shenliang began to play tricks on his wife again. Wife, we absolutely cannot let that brat leave. At the very least, you can't let him take the food away. Why don't you go over there to borrow food again? While he's sound asleep, open the door for me. The two of us will take that opportunity to kill him out of guilt. Lin wants I could almost agree to all his demands. In the end, she still nodded. Shenliang was overjoyed. That's great. As soon as it gets dark, we'll act immediately. I'll go prepare first. Watching Shenliang's back disappear, Lin Wansai gave a bitter smile. He didn't even ask for a specific plan. It seemed that in his heart, he had already calculated to let her use her body as bait. On my side, since I planned to set up tomorrow morning, I prepared to go to bed a bit early. But just as I lay down, I heard a knock at the door. I opened the door, the corner of my mouth curling into a smile. What's wrong? Hungry again so soon? Hearing this, Lam Van Tu cursed secretly in her heart. She just wanted to punch me right in the face. But in the end, she still managed to restrain herself. She even squeezed out a seductive expression. It's not just hunger, come on in. I stepped aside to make way, just as Lam Van Tu brushed past me. I raised my hand and slapped her butt. That jelly-like softness made me give a sincere compliment. Lam Van Tu was startled and clutched her butt, glaring at me in anger. Her angry but silent look made me unable to hold back, and I had to throw my head back and laugh out loud. It turns out not being a good person feels this great. I didn't have a shred of sympathy for her. The way the two of them treated me in my past life. This is their retribution. Lam Van Tu lowered her head, but a blazing fire of rage flickered in her eyes. Wait until tonight is over and see if you can still laugh. A few hours later, Lam Van Tu came out trembling, leaning on the wall. As soon as the door opened, Tham Luong slipped inside. How is it? Is he asleep? Great, let's go finish him off right now. Saying that, Tham Luong tightened his grip on the fruit knife in his hand. But he hadn't taken more than a few steps when he saw a figure standing at the bedroom door. This scene scared Tham Luong out of his wits. Didn't you say he was asleep? Lam Van Tu was also startled and terrified, but immediately realized something was wrong. This is the zombie that bastard is keeping. How did it get loose from the ropes? Hubby, what should we do? Should we retreat first? At this moment, Tham Luong was in a fierce internal struggle. Though he feared zombies, he understood one thing. If they miss tonight, there won't be another chance. Besides, Tham looked dazed and sluggish. This gave Tham Luong a false impression that he could handle it. But to be safe, he still urged his wife, Dear, you go and distract its attention. I will deal with it from behind. Hearing this, Lam Va Tu trembled all over in fear. Don't worry, I won't let it hurt you. But how could Lam Va Tu agree to do it? She didn't love Tham Luo Wenji enough to die for him. At that moment, my impatient voice rang out from the bedroom door. I say, how much longer do you two plan to discuss? Hearing my voice, Tham Luo Wenji and Lam Va Tu's hearts nearly jumped out of their chests. And, you're still not asleep, with you two being so noisy. Even if I were asleep, I'd have been woken up. Seeing the nonchalant smile on my face, Lam Va Tu's face immediately turned pale. Husband, let that zombie block him. Let's run away. Are you talking about her? Under their disbelieving gazes, I reached out and stroked Tham Fan and Go's head. Not only did she not attack me, but she obediently let me pet her. This scene directly scared those two into wetting their pants. How could this be possible? This girl doesn't even look like a zombie. So how can even her habits be completely different from other zombies? Tham Luongji suddenly shoved Lam Va Tu toward me as bait, while he turned around and ran straight for the door. But before he could take 2 steps, I caught up with him. One strike knocked him down. Wait, I have something to say. Please don't kill me. Tham Luo Wenji pleaded. But I was too lazy to waste words with him. I decisively swung the club and finished him off. Lam Van Tu was scared out of her wits seeing the scene. It was all Shenliang's idea. He was the one who wanted to harm you. It had nothing to do with me. Please, I beg you to spare me. I swear I will definitely serve you like a master from now on. In her heart, Lam Van Tu still held a glimmer of hope, thinking that I wouldn't have a heart to kill her. To her surprise, I spoke coldly. Because you don't actually know you were wrong. You only know that you were about to die. I decisively took action at this moment. Shinkingwu stepped closer. Pointing at the two corpses on the ground greedily, I shook my head. No, this one is ruined. Early the next morning, I immediately took Shinkingwu on a motorcycle and left the apartment. What's worth mentioning is the roaring sound of the engine on the road attracted countless zombies. But those moving slowly basically could not catch up. They could only watch helplessly as I sped away, arriving at Sinha University to shake off the zombie army behind. I was about to find a random building to hide in temporarily when I suddenly heard someone calling me. I hesitated for a moment, then left the motorcycle and ran towards them. The person who just called me saw me running over and quickly moved away from the window. I propped one hand on the window frame and performed a beautiful hurdle jump inside. But Shinkingwu's body was stiff. She didn't know how to climb through a window. She could only stand outside blankly. Some enthusiastic male students wanted to help, but I pushed them aside. No need, I'll do it. After saying that, I leaned half of my body out. Both hands gripped under Shinkingwu's armpits. Without much effort, I lifted her inside. At this moment, a guy looking like a rich playboy spoke up. This guy's name was Gusuo. Relying on his status as the mayor's son, he tricked others into believing his father would send people to save them. That is why he blatantly became the leader of this group of survivors. I didn't bother to acknowledge his outstretched hand. Who the hell are you? Do I know you? Gu Qingyu's expression immediately turned sour. He said that just to act tough. He didn't expect me not to give him any face at all. To save face. He began to speak in a superior tone. In other words, you are also a survivor just like us. If that's the case, then you must follow our rules. A lackey behind him saw this and immediately rushed forward, intending to snatch my backpack. I brushed his hand aside and took a step back. What do you want to do? Gu Qingyu put on a face of awe-inspiring righteousness. In order for everyone to survive, please hand over the supplies, so that we can distribute them uniformly. I gave a cold snort. Whether you live or die, what the hell does it have to do with me? Hearing that, Gu Qingyu intentionally raised his voice, so that everyone could hear. If everyone were as selfish as you, we would have starved to death long ago. We do this to use the supply reasonably and optimally. I really couldn't listen to it anymore, so I opened my mouth and interrupted him. Your life and death have nothing to do with me. I also have no intention of joining forces with you all, so I will absolutely not hand over my supplies. Gu Qingyu gave a cold laugh and pointed out the window. Then I'm sorry, please leave immediately. At this moment, outside the window, the zombies I lured earlier are competing to cling to the windows and drool. Besides, I haven't achieved my goal for coming here yet. There are so many classrooms here. I'll leave on my own after staying for a few days. To an outsider like me. The students obviously believe Kofuavu's words more. What's more, they surrounded me with resentment. Who do you think you were to talk to young Master Ko like that? Just now, if we hadn't saved you, you would have been dead long ago. That's right, this is a school. An outsider like you, what right do you have to stay in our classroom? I couldn't help but burst out laughing. It's the apocalypse and you're still preaching to me? Besides, what if I insist on staying here? Just based on a few pampered kids who have never seen blood like you. You dare to make a move against someone who crawled out from a sea of blood and a mountain of bones like me, just as the two sides were at each other's throats. A beautiful girl in a long dress with a pure aura walked in. What's going on here? Lakoa, this guy wants to sponge off us. We were about to drive him away. Lakoa frowned slightly. If he wants to stay, then let him stay. We have so many empty classrooms. Why bother kicking him out? Aren't you all just sending him to his death by doing that? Everyone, disperse. The students looked at Kofuavu hesitantly, until he nodded his head. Only then did everyone agree to disperse. At this moment, Lakoa's gaze swept past me, and stopped on Tham Than and go. Is this your sister? Oh, she's so beautiful. Something like that. Hello, little sister. What's your name? And why are your eyes so red? Lakoa asked in a friendly manner. Their enthusiasm was not reciprocated. I hurriedly stepped up to explain. She's just wearing contact lenses. My sister is a bit introverted and doesn't like to talk. Please don't mind. The other party easily believed my fabrication. After all, how could there be any zombie now that doesn't actively bite people? Then you guys just stay here for now. From the first to the third floor, it's all safe. You can just choose any empty classroom you like, but you must remember, from the fourth floor up, it's extremely dangerous. Lakoa gave her warnings, and soon it was noon. In front of a classroom door labeled warehouse, over a dozen students were lining up. They were all waiting to receive today's food rations. But most people only received a few biscuits, while Kofuavu hid in a warehouse to secretly eat a chicken leg. He got away with it, but right at this moment, a strong aroma of meat wafted over. Those dozen people didn't even want to line up anymore. Everyone looked toward the source of the smell. Detecting the aroma, everyone rushed downstairs. At this time, in a classroom on the second floor, I was lighting a fire to cook. Those people watched with eyes turned red with envy. Kofuavu even walked straight inside. Friend, can you use our food to exchange for some of your food? I didn't even bother to look at him. With just that moldy junk of yours. It's both unpalatable and won't fill the stomach. Kofuavu wanted to say more, but I didn't care to listen. I carried a bowl of meat straight out and asked the crowd, want to eat? Everyone hurriedly nodded. That's when I cleared my throat. Is there anyone here majoring in architecture? I had just finished speaking, and the whole crowd immediately went silent. After a long while, someone timidly spoke up. Architecture students are in the other building. They've probably all turned into zombies by now. Hearing that, I was extremely disappointed. Coming here this time, I mainly wanted to find someone who could design blueprints for a safe house. It seemed like it was all for nothing, but just then, a soft voice spoke up from the crowd. Me. I major in architecture. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound. They saw the speaker was a girl with braided hair, wearing black-rimmed glasses and looking very shy, being stared at by so many people like that. The girl was clearly a bit nervous. I assessed her skeptically. That timid, towering look made it hard not to suspect she was here just to skim for food and drinks. Seeming to have seen the doubt in my eyes, the girl with braids mustered her courage and said, "My name is Veen. I'm the top student in my major's year. If you don't believe me, you can ask the other students. I believe you. But do you know how to draw blueprints?" She suddenly looked up at me with a face full of surprise. Of course, I didn't just believe her blindly, but because the system panel had appeared before me. Name Veen. Identity architecture student. Favorability 0. Reward for holding hands. Solar power generation equipment, or wastewater filtration equipment. Choose one of the 2 rewards. First kiss. A surveillance system set. Full conquest reward. 4 automated turrets with 100 specialized bullets. Incredible. Every one of these rewards is amazing. If I can get all of this, then the defensive strength of the safe house will be significantly enhanced. Listen to me. Veen nodded vigorously like a chicken pecking for grain. Yes, I know. So, do you know how to draw some special architectural design drawings? Inside the small head of Veen, a huge question mark immediately appeared. But for the sake of food, the little girl still agreed. I'll hire you. The daily wage is 1 bowl of meat and 1 bowl of vegetables. Veen originally thought a little meat was already great. She didn't expect there would be green vegetables too. She happily accepted the job immediately. While some were happy, others were miserable. Kofuavu glared at me aggressively, then led his lackeys away with their tails between their legs toward the stairs. A lackey named Luke Da glanced left and right, making sure no one was following before speaking up. "Young Master Ko, that brat is too arrogant. How about we take care of him?" Kofuavu pondered for a moment. "It's no good. You saw his skills when dealing with zombies that day. We are absolutely no match for him." At this moment, Kofuavu wanted to deal with me more than anyone, but unfortunately his strength didn't allow it. The lackey Luke Da wanted to say something else, but Kofuavu waved his hand and walked away. Luke Da watched his back and gave a cold huff. "You have plenty of fish and meat, so of course you look down on his food. But I'm still starving over here. No, I must find a way to seize his supplies." Meanwhile, Veen finished eating and was still licking her lips longingly. Seeing that, I asked if she wanted to eat a bit more. Veen shook her head. "No need. I've already eaten all of today's pay. If I eat tomorrow's portion in advance, I'll have to go hungry tomorrow." Hearing this, I was a bit taken aback. "Then let's get to work." Veen gave a response, and immediately went into work mode. She opened the backpack she was carrying with her, took out a laptop and said, "What are your requirements?" "I want a safe house blueprint, occupying a footprint of 100 square meters. The structural integrity must be very high. It also needs a warehouse, an escape road, a rest area, and a bathroom. If it's 100 square meters, then it's still too small for a safe house, because you also have to leave room for cultivation and livestock areas." I glanced at her with a bit of surprise. This girl is thinking even more thoroughly than I am, right? "So you also need to leave space for future expansion." "I understand. I'll get to work right now." Hearing that, I joyfully asked her, "How long to finish the drawing?" "Probably a few days. If edits are needed later, it will take another 2 or 3 days. I immediately frowned. According to memories from my previous life, a severe cold wave will hit in over a week. If we don't move into the safe house beforehand, at that time we will freeze to death in this drafty school building. I need you to finish the drawing within 7 days. Are you confident?" Veen was a bit hesitant at first, but very quickly, her gaze became determined. "No problem. If it's 7 days, then 7 days." I led Shin Kingwood to the rooftop, wanting to find a suitable place to build a safe shelter. Before long, I discovered a vacant plot of land on the mountain behind the school. The lecture hall building provides cover in front, while the back leans against a large mountain. If you don't go deep into the school, it's very difficult to discover it. Furthermore, there aren't many zombies here. I picked up the baseball bat, ready to go over and clear them out. I climbed out through the first floor window, glancing around. There were 4 zombies wandering nearby. Even though I was very careful and smashed one to death, it still alerted the remaining 3. The first one to lunge forward was a guy in a t-shirt. He seemed to have been an athlete when he was alive. Unlike other slow zombies, this athlete zombie ran extremely fast. In a blink, he had rushed right in front of me. I didn't panic, sidestepping to dodge, and used that momentum to swing my bat. In a blink, he had rushed right in front of me, living up to his reputation as an athlete. This zombie could still move after being hit once. I immediately followed up with another strike, living up to his reputation as an athlete. This zombie could still move after being hit once. I immediately followed up with another strike. By this time, the 3rd zombie had also rushed in front of me. I used a leg sweep to knock it down, then finished it with 2 more hits. But right then, The last zombie lunged at me. Before I could stand up, it had pinned me to the ground. That zombie opened his bloody mouth wide, biting down hard on my baseball bat, and chewing voraciously. I cursed under my breath, wanting to throw the zombie off me. But several attempts failed, just as I mustered all my strength and prepared to try one more time. A slender hand suddenly grabbed the zombie's neck and threw it far away. I turned my head in astonishment and discovered the owner of that small hand was actually Shin King-woo. At this moment, the thrown zombie roared and rushed back before I could even stand up. Shin King-woo had instantly squeezed the zombie's neck and gave it a powerful twist. A crack sound rang out. That zombie's head tilted as it fell to the ground. It was insane. I didn't expect that despite looking weak and fragile, Shin King-woo's strength would be so great. It seems my guess was not wrong. She has indeed evolved. Previously, when looking at Shin King-woo's skin, from grayish-white, gradually turning rosy, I already had a suspicion. Now it has finally been confirmed. I opened the system panel to check and found that Shin King-woo's affection level had increased to 50. She's much easier to coax than normal women. No need for designer bags or cosmetics. Just some food is enough. She can even protect me too. While being stared at by me, Shin King-woo's expression remained completely calm, as if the person who just acted wasn't her. So, after staying like that for a bit, I continued clearing out the zombies. Shin King-woo only takes action when my life is in danger. At other times, she just stands aside silently watching the show. It seems that if I want to command her to work, I still have to keep increasing her affection level. I was busy until dusk before returning to the teaching building. Entering the men's restroom, I was about to take off my clothes to wash off the bloodstains when I realized Shin King will follow me inside. This really is a first, although it felt a bit awkward. But on second thought, after all, she's just a zombie. I finished showering quickly. I was about to change into clean clothes when I suddenly looked toward Shin King-woo. Well, I don't know if zombies sweat, but the battle just now had also covered her body in blood. So I decided to give her a bath too. At this moment, Shin King-woo was staring at me, even though I knew she had no concept of gender in her head. My face still couldn't help but flush red. I gritted my teeth and quickly took off her clothes. That skin, bright as jade, almost blinded my eyes. Just looking was enough to make my whole body run hot. I quickly repeated in my head that she's a zombie. Only then could I calm down a bit. I hurriedly and quickly helped her wash up. A minute later, the bath was finished. I raised my head to face Shin King-woo. It's done. You should feel a bit more comfortable now, right? But she just kept staring into my eyes. Unlike usual, in Shin King-woo's eyes, there seemed to be a hint of emotional fluctuation. I didn't know if it was just my imagination. So I curiously leaned in closer to get a better look. The next second, Shin King-woo's body suddenly pressed close to mine. Completely unexpected that she would attack so suddenly. There was basically no time to dodge. But the crazy biting and tearing I imagined didn't happen. A soft feeling, with a bit of sweetness coming from the lips. My eyes were filled with astonishment, until the system notification sounded. I finally snapped out of it. Congratulations, host, for receiving the first kiss reward, Zombie Roman 6 Routine Vaccine. After use, you can be immune to the Zombie Roman 6 Routine. Looking back at Shin King-woo's favorability on the system panel, I was once again taken aback. It was just a simple wash. The favorability has reached 60. Moving directly to the like stage, I turned off the system panel and asked Shin King-woo, do you have emotions now? Shin King-woo tilted her head, looking a bit innocent, clearly unable to understand such complex words, so I switched to a simpler question. Do you understand what I'm saying? This time she nodded. I tried asking a few more questions, but whenever I encountered a slightly complex sentence, Shin King-woo would fall into a state of daze. I tried asking a few more questions, but whenever I encountered a slightly complex sentence, Shin King-woo would fall back into a state of daze. It seems like letting Shin King-woo act alone is still not very practical, but as the favorability increases, maybe she can truly recover human emotions. At that time, surely, she will understand more complex commands. But for now, let's get out of this restroom first, then head back to class. I asked Du Numin Veen and learned that the mini fire station is located right next to the main gate of the administration building. But to get there, you must go around the zombie horde on the sports field. I quietly memorized this information. Then I told Numin Veen to go back and rest. Soon, only Shin King-woo and I were left in the classroom. I took out the Zombie Roman 6 Routine vaccine, injected it straight into my upper arm, and emptied the syringe. This way, it will be even harder for the undead to threaten me. At this moment, on the third floor of the school building, two figures were sneakily moving toward the stairs. One of them looked worried. Will we really be okay doing this? The other person spoke disdainfully. What could possibly happen? No matter how well he fights, there are only two of them. And one of them is just that little girl. Tight true. Don't tell me you're even afraid of a girl. This person was Lu Jia. Very quickly, the two of them, one after another, sneaked to the classroom where I was. They discovered both the front and back doors of the classroom were locked from the inside. But how could this stop Lu Jia? An expert at skipping school, he gripped the window, fumbled for a bit, and managed to push it open. Then he flipped inside. Tight true. Not being as nimble as Lu Jia, put one leg over the window frame, and sat perched there first. But just as he was about to bring the other leg over, he noticed a small figure in the class. Standing up stiffly, he was so terrified that he nervously stammered, Lu Jia. Someone's here. Lu Jia immediately grew alert. Unfortunately, it was already too late. He only felt a freezing cold in his chest. A slender arm had pierced through his chest. Witnessing this, Tai Tru was scared to death. He turned around and prepared to run. Jin King looked at her blood-stained hand. A different kind of hunger suddenly surged in her mind. That urge made her want to lick all this blood clean. But in the end, she still managed to control herself. The next day when I woke up, I saw Shin King looking excited, showing me the bloodstains on her hands. My gaze suddenly froze. What is this? Shin King looked toward the window again. I followed her gaze and saw one person slumped on the floor, and another leaning against the window. Both of their chests had a large hole in them. Beside the bodies hung a pair of nunchucks. Seeing this scene, I immediately understood everything, but at that moment, Shin King grabbed my hand and shook it back and forth. I understood her meaning right away. So I led her to the restroom, washed the blood off her hands, and returned to class. I had just finished throwing the two corpses out the window when Nguyen Vien Vien arrived with her laptop. She nodded to me and then went to her desk to start working. A moment later, Hu Qingyu's disgusting face appeared at the classroom door. Where's Lu Yi? What did you do to him? I looked at him with a calm expression. Who is Lu Yi? Stop playing innocent with me. It's the guy with the bright green hair. Only then did I realize, it turned out one of the two guys last night was named Lu Yi, but I still pretended to know nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know any Lu Yi either. Do you think I'll believe that? He didn't go missing early, or go missing late, but he went missing just as you arrived. If it wasn't you, then who else could it be? What kind of nonsense are you barking here? If someone is missing, go find them yourself. Don't neg me at my place. Arguing sound of the two of us attracted many students to watch, including Lok Hoa. She asked suspiciously, what's wrong? What happened? Hu Qingyu's tone finally softened a bit. Lu Yi and Tai Shou have disappeared. Lok Hoa thought for a moment. Could they have gone out for supplies? No way. Without my command, they wouldn't leave on their own. What's wrong? What happened? Lu Yi and Tai Shou have disappeared. Could they have gone out for supplies? I took the opportunity to chime in. You're sure they'll listen to you? Really? Maybe they were already fed up with you and slipped away while you were sleeping. I took the opportunity to chime in. You're sure they'll listen to you? Really? Maybe they were already fed up with you and slipped away while you were sleeping. Hu Qingyu was so angry his eyes turned red. He wished he could strike right then and there. Too bad he couldn't beat me. Lok Hoa wanted to ease this atmosphere, thick with the smell of gunpowder. Maybe the two of them really went out for something. They'll be back in a while. Wait patiently. I'll believe Lok Hoa this time. If they aren't back before dark, I'll definitely settle a score with you. Throwing back that ruthless line, Hu Qingyu walked away with a cold face. When passing by the warehouse, the man in glasses guarding the warehouse reported to him, Young Master Gu, the food in the warehouse is almost gone. Then send someone to find some. Yes, sir. I'll arrange it right away. The guy in glasses was about to leave when Hu Qingyu called him back. Wait, I'll give you a new list. Just arrange it according to this list. And that list was full of names of people who refused to listen to him. Keeping these kinds of people in the camp was just an eyesore. Better to send them out to find supplies. If they die out there, it saves on food. It's truly killing two birds with one stone. Thinking of this, the corners of Hu Qingyu's mouth gradually curled into a delighted smile. At this rate, before long, only those who blindly follow my orders will be left here. By then, he can teach a lesson to the one who made him lose face. Suddenly, from a distance, a voice sweet enough to melt someone's heart echoed, Young Master Gu, so you're here. You made me search for so long. Hu Qingyu looked up and saw Jiang Roman 6 dressed, gaudily, walking towards him. Why are you here? Where's Lu Yi? Why isn't he with you? A classmate has a fever, so he's busy taking care of him. Hearing this, Hu Qingyu immediately gave a despicable smile. If Lu Yi is temporarily unavailable, then isn't this a good chance to relieve myself? Thinking so, Hu Qingyu's gaze at Jiang Roman 6 also became perverted. Do you need something from me? Jiang Roman 6 bit her lip. Can I look for you if there's nothing wrong? Of course you can. It just so happens I was missing you too. A flash of shyness crossed Jiang Roman 6's eyes. Oh me, how hateful, you're making me so embarrassed. Seeing her like this, Hu Qingyu only felt a heat in his lower abdomen. A surge of wicked fire suddenly rose within him. He hurriedly tried to grab Jiang Roman 6's waist, but she dodged it. Young Master Gu, aren't you afraid of being seen? I would be so embarrassed. Hu Qingyu heard this and laughed loudly. How about this? I happen to be going to the warehouse to check the supplies. Why don't you come with me? Jiang Weiwei immediately nodded. Okay, the two of them entered the warehouse one after another. Hu Qingyu followed behind and casually locked the door. He couldn't wait any longer. He lunged forward, wanting to kiss Jiang Weiwei. As a result, she nimbly dodged him. Hu Qingyu was so anxious that he scratched his arms and cheeks. What now? Jiang Weiwei first glanced at the supplies in the warehouse. Then she spoke up nonchalantly. Young master, there doesn't seem to be much food left, does there? Hu Qingyu replied dismissively. Enough to hold out until my father's people arrive. As he spoke, he began to undress. Don't talk nonsense anymore. Hurry up. It won't be good if we're discovered by someone else later. Don't talk nonsense anymore. Hurry up. It won't be good if we're discovered by someone else later. Jiang Weiwei gave a cold laugh. Young master, is your father really free to come and save you? Gu Qingyu suddenly grabbed her. What do you mean? Jiang Weiwei changed the subject, covering her mouth and laughing softly. I was just guessing. Don't be so tense. Oh, right. I suddenly remembered Louis called me to help. Goodbye. Young master. After saying that, Jiang Weiwei opened the door and walked out, leaving Gu Qingyu standing there alone in embarrassment, looking just like a clown. In another place, I was clearing out zombies when I suddenly heard a cry. Hello! Echoing from far, I grabbed my baseball bat and looked in that direction. I saw by the window of a large building. A woman was screaming toward me. This made me unable to help but curse under my breath. Does this woman want to die? Being so loud in the apocalypse, calling for help is an extremely dangerous act. I know she wants to attract my attention, but I originally had no intention of saving her. But this woman screaming accidentally helped me. The crowd of zombies in the open field, hearing the noise, all lethargically moved toward the source of the sound. I said to Shin Kingwu, let's go, we can get off work early today. I told Shin Kingwu to go. We can get off work early today. But this made the woman in the building anxious. Where are they going? Could they not have heard my cry for help? Seeing more and more zombies gathering, she had to shut her mouth and sob quietly. Returning to the room back at school, I asked Nguyen Vien Vien, did you hear a woman screaming just now? Nguyen Vien Vien nodded. I heard it. It seemed to be a miss on. She is our school doctor. I thought for a moment. Do you want me to go save her? My question made Nguyen Vien Vien, who was holding the mouse, pause for a moment. I just feel she could be useful to you. Oh, right. That building is the administrative building. I know. After speaking, I took Shin Kingwu to take a bath. The reason I delayed for 2 days before rescuing her was to make that woman named An Nin become completely desperate. That way, when I came to save her, she would be profusely grateful to me. Half an hour later, I reached the destination of this trip, but there were over a dozen zombies loitering here. Relying on sneak attacks to take them all out is impossible. It wasn't a matter of a quick victory. I took a deep breath and rushed straight to the mini fire station. The zombies immediately spotted me, roaring angrily and surrounding me. Seeing that, I ran for my life at full speed. Taking advantage of the moment before they could surround me, I dashed into the mini fire station. 2 walkie-talkies, a fire axe, and an escape rope. I gathered them all to take away. While I was focused on scavenging supplies, unexpectedly, the zombies were only 3 meters away. Fortunately, I reacted quickly enough. Hurriedly, I slipped into the restroom on the 3rd floor of the admin building. Wenning's consciousness was slightly hazy in her delirium. She vaguely heard a loud noise, like the room door being kicked open. Then a male voice asked, dead already? Too bad, I'm late. Wenning's eyes snapped open. Using all her strength, she screamed, I'm still alive. Please save me. I threw her a baseball bat. Can you still move? If you want to live, hold your weapon tight. Oh, Wenning gritted her teeth, leaning on the wall to stand up. I can. I led Wenning out of the room, then saw a zombie staggering toward us. I stepped forward, swinging the axe straight into the zombie's head. With just one strike, the zombie became motionless. Seeing that, I couldn't help but exclaim, this axe is really satisfying to use. Wenning, following behind, was completely stunned. This man kills zombies like he's taking a stroll. By the time I reached the stairs, she finally regained her composure and hurriedly followed. There were many zombies on the stairs. They all followed me in here. Earlier outside, the terrain was too open. If I were surrounded, I'd have to face attacks from all sides. But now, there's only one staircase. Only one zombie can attack me at a time. Naturally, I'm extremely confident. Plus, there's the advantage of the high ground. I can easily slash at the heads and necks of the zombies. In just a few short minutes, the zombies' corpses covered the stairs. Nin was stunned once again, and while watching my image, and her heart also became increasingly tall and divine. But just at this moment, her ankle was suddenly grabbed. Beneath her feet was a female zombie with half its face bitten off. Immediately, Nin was so scared she didn't dare to move. Her entire body shook like a leaf. Her small eyes were also filled with tears. As for me, I stood by indifferently. Aren't you going to hit it with the baseball bat? Are you planning to keep it for New Year's? My words made Nin's small face turned red. She raised the baseball bat above her head, closed her eyes, and struck down with all her might. Bam Fan and Ghost stood beside her, her face expressionless without any emotion. But his eyes kept following us from a distance. Many students around were also drawn to the scene, including Jiang Weiwei. Right now, she was looking out with glowing eyes, waiting for me to bring Nin to the window. Nguyen Vien Vien was about to open it, but Jiang Weiwei was one step faster. She pushed the window open and reached her hand toward me, but I ignored her and climbed through the window to get inside. Conversely, Wenning took Jiang Weiwei's hand and struggled to climb in. After standing firm, Wenning said a word of thanks. Jiang Weiwei's smile stiffened slightly. There's no need for thanks. Ms. Ning, welcome to join us. The other students immediately swarmed around Wenning, chirping with questions. I didn't pay attention to this noisy crowd, leading Shin Kingwu straight upstairs. Wait for me. Wenning saw me leaving, She immediately left those students and ran along. Behind her, the students looked at each other in confusion, not understanding why Ms. Ming left them and ran away. At this time on the second floor, 4 women appeared simultaneously. At the door of my classroom, Nguyen Vien Vien pushed her glasses up and sized up the other 3. Among the 4 people, only she had the most legitimate reason to appear. Her. The other 3 didn't even know why they were here. I looked at the 4 women at the door and was also a bit stunned. But I quickly returned to normal. Opening the pot lid, a rich aroma immediately spread throughout the classroom. When the 4 women smelled this fragrance, they couldn't help but swallow their saliva. I scooped a bowl for myself, Shin Kingwoo and Wenning first. Then I scooped another bowl and handed it to Nguyen Vien Vien. Nguyen Vien Vien ate while glancing triumphantly at the others. Wenning had been hungry for many days. She relied entirely on her willpower to hold out until now. So after smelling the aroma, her reaction was also the most exaggerated. Her saliva was about to flow like a river. But she still tried to manage a word of thanks to me. Thank you for saving me. Suddenly, a system panel appeared before my eyes. Target ONN. Identity head nurse. Favorability 50. Hand holding reward. Medical kit. Medical secrets. First kiss reward. Zombie Roman 6 routine vaccine. Complete conquest reward. Medical room and accompanying medical equipment. Seeing this, I smirked with satisfaction. It seems that not paying attention to her before was right. Her favorability has already jumped straight to 50. I asked ONN if she wanted to eat. She did. She really wanted to work for me. I can give you the same treatment as him. 1 bowl of meat and 1 bowl of vegetables a day. Nguyen Vien Vien, who was eating nearby, heard this. Immediately, the meat in her bowl didn't seem as tasty anymore. As for ONN, she agreed without any hesitation. No problem. I immediately scooped a bowl for her as well. She then ate ravenously. It seemed she really was starving. I turned my eyes toward the other 2 people. Target name Lo Si Hoe. Identity. Art student, pianist. Favorability 0. Hand holding reward. Piano skills. First kiss reward. Collection of piano music pieces. Complete conquest reward. Piano artistic talent. Target name Jiang Roman 6 Roman 6. Identity materialistic female student. Favorability 9. 10 hand holding reward. A car. First kiss reward. A 100 square meter house. Complete conquest reward. A 1000 square meter house. After asking the system in my head, I learned that the car in the reward can freely specify any type of vehicle, from small mini cars to Ferraris, to large heavy-duty off-road trucks. Even tanks can be obtained. Besides, this 100 square meter house is also quite a sweet deal. It can double the area of my safe house. It seems that girl Jiang Vi. This Vi also has some value to be exploited. As for La Ko's reward, it's a bit useless. Not worth looking at. Jiang Vi is sharp. Noticing the change in my gaze, she smoothed her hair and spoke in a coquettish voice. May I ask if I can work for you? Nguyen Vien Vien, standing nearby, heard this. Immediately, she felt goosebumps all over. It was absolutely disgusting. But she never imagined that Jiang Vi could succeed with this seductive move. After all, in her impression, I only keep people who are useful to me. Unexpectedly, I nodded and agreed fine. The pay is the same as those 2. Hearing that, Nguyen Vien Vien's eyes widened. What can this Jiang Vi even do? Why does she deserve the same treatment as me? At this moment, Jiang Vi took the bowl I handed over. Her fingers seemingly accidentally brushed against my hand. I saw her hesitation. You can also choose to stay here. Of course, I choose to follow you. Jiang Vi is indeed a smart person. Knowing that staying here would lead to a miserable end. Rather take a gamble and follow me. Our movements quickly attracted a crowd of onlookers. They immediately began to whisper, where are they going? Don't tell me they've lost it and want to go out there. It's better if they leave. They've been an eyesore for a long time. Although I refused yesterday, and she said such harsh words, she still couldn't just watch us go to our deaths. So she rushed out from the crowd. Blocking me. Where are you going? Leaving here. Anyway, you guys don't like us anyway. Isn't that right? My counter question left Louis speechless. She was just about to say something when a voice rang out from behind. That's right, we indeed don't welcome you. But the others can go. Wen Ning, you're the school doctor, stay with us. We really need you. This kid Gu Qingyu knows the importance of a doctor. Clearly he wants to use the students to morally pressure Wen Ning. I immediately flew into a rage. Damn it, you dare snatch someone right in front of me? But before I could speak, Wen Ning took a step forward. There isn't even medicine here. Staying is useless. It's better to leave. You are a leader even if you don't do anything. As long as you are here, everyone will feel much more at ease. Gu Qingyu still wanted to insist. But Wen Ning didn't waver at all. Determined to follow me. Seeing he couldn't persuade her, Gu Qingyu didn't bother keeping the others in his eyes. Besides Wen Ning being somewhat useful, Nguyen Vien Vien and Jiang Weiwei were completely just 2 burdens. Cut the nonsense, let's go. I didn't want to argue with him anymore and turned to leave. The girls behind it immediately followed. Since the apocalypse broke out, this was the first time Jiang Weiwei had left the building. She nervously looked all around, ready to bolt at any moment. But what made her breathe a sigh of relief was that there were no living zombies here. Only zombie corpses lying scattered on the ground. Walking to the empty lot behind the school, I stopped walking. Jian Roman 6 saw this and panicked. Why are you moving anymore? Oh, there are no zombies right now. We should leave quickly. We've arrived. Arrived where? How can we live in this desolate, remote place? He hasn't gone crazy, has he? If I'd known it was like this, I wouldn't have followed him. I couldn't be bothered with what Jian Roman 6 was thinking. My mind was completely focused on the system. System. Claim the real estate reward. Design blueprint detected. Build according to the blueprint. Yes.